Welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. I'm your host, the Goldsmith. Today's the 31st of January, 2024. It happens to be Wednesday, and we had something happen that we've been, kind of 3 days in the making. Monday was the announcement. Tuesday was the sale, and now Wednesday, burnable passes for the frost season passes. Get back into the review a little bit about those, what we're looking at for expectations, what you can still do, and obviously this sale is still open, so get into some details on that. Additionally, get into the funeral arrangements. I did have a totem die. We'll talk a little bit about totems still being a thing that's still going on. Reminders on trying to keep your totems healthy because we are headed into the end of some cycles, and the end of that cycle for some people is where a lot of the profitability from our totems is coming. So some reminders on keeping those totems alive like I failed to do. And of course, just as we do move forward here and upland, a couple of reminders of what's going on in the next couple of weeks. But as we do head that direction, first and foremost, let's get the disclaimer out of the way. All views and opinions expressed by myself are mine and mine alone. Should be taken as game strategy or financial advice. It obviously doesn't represent the game or the team of Upland. Pretty simple there. Live on YouTube, live in the Discord Cafe. We do both at the same time. And obviously, if you miss, we are up on YouTube shortly after recording. 7 p.m. PT is when we try to get things going Monday through Friday. On Tuesdays and Fridays in the Plaza as well in Layer 1 Upland. And without further ado, so today, today marks the third day that we've known about these passes. Monday we got the announcement. Tuesday we got the sale, and today the burn started. Always worth going back and looking at the announcement here, just because we do have a couple details on there that haven't yet happened, and that is going to be the first drop. And obviously the sale is still available on those. So touch a couple details, get that share screen up. If you are watching on, if you're on Discord and you're not watching on YouTube, obviously you can always check the YouTube. And if you want to go back and check it and review later, always can do so. But you can always find your announcements in the game of Upland, either in the calendar view or in the left-hand corner under the messages. The new announcements, any major ones anyway, should show up there. Frost Season Pass, obviously, as mentioned, we did get this announcement on Monday the 29th. Getting the sale started yesterday at a fixed price of $6.99 per person for the Season Pass. Season Pass is going to drop on a weekly basis once you buy the pass and burn it. It's going to have drops on a weekly basis for the rest of the season. And the key thing here to know or to keep track of on this first Season's Pass is we had this idea of the $6.99 is a fixed price. That's the price you're going to pay. Doesn't matter whether you buy it right off before the first drop or you buy it later on down the line. But what we have seen interestingly develop is that there's a secondary market. People have bought in USD and turned around and sold in OPIX. So it is an interesting potential here. If you're the type of player who's not going to spend $1 on OPIX, on a USD, or you're not going to go spend $1 to go buy OPIX, I should say, or you're not going to buy things directly in USD, or can't afford to do it this time, there is the option of taking that extra OPIX if you haven't. Try to go and buy in the secondary if you want one of these passes. Again, the passes are exchangeable. The benefits, the cosmetics that they come with, or that are the drops, those are not going to be exchangeable. Again, that's definitely a line to draw there and to understand. If you do want to purchase on the secondary, all you can purchase is the pass. And until you've burnt that pass, you don't start getting the drops. The drops are not retroactive at all. So if you do want to be a participant and get all the drops right through the season, what you're going to want to do is acquire this pass in the next couple of days. And you do have to burn by this coming Tuesday, 9 a.m. PT. Every Tuesday, 9 a.m. PT, that is when the snapshot is going to happen for who has burnt their pass already. People who burnt their pass already, they get the drop. The people who are holding a pass and haven't yet burned it, they don't get that week's drop. They can still burn their pass. They're going to get the subsequent week's drops, but not the prior. So keep that in mind. You got to hit the burn button. You got to give up ownership or relinquish the pass itself if you want to be in line for those drops that will be coming down the line. Again, as mentioned, the $6.99 is the price for this pass. You can continue to buy them throughout the season, even though technically speaking, they have declining utility throughout the season if you buy them in the later weeks. It still gives you the opportunity to jump in for the last couple weeks of the season. But again, you never have the opportunity to come back to square one. A couple other things on these keynotes. Had a couple discussions on this, gone over a couple things. The benefits, the assets, the items that you're going to get for the cosmetics, those are going to be non-exchangeable. They're not NFTs. They are going to be digital modifications or cosmetic modifications of your account that can be used during the season. There is a badge that comes along with it. If you have been badge hunting for the last several years, here's one that you can pick up for the cost of $7 or $6.99. Along with it comes some enhancements or some cosmetic additions that you can put into the profile that you can have a few different places. But again, nothing's going to constitute an NFT except for the pass itself. So if you do mint the pass in USD and you change your mind, you want to sell it into UPX, you can do so through the Variety Legit shops. Keep that in mind. That continues to be an option. And if you're in a position where you have a bunch of UPX, but you don't have the USD and you can't come across the USD very easily, you can go to one of those Variety Legit shops and potentially buy a pass just for you. And if you can do it by this Tuesday, you can be in for the whole season. Again, the thing here is they're surprises. And then when I say surprises, the team of Upland says surprises, it means they're not going to tell us exactly what to expect or even the number to expect of these cosmetic enhancements over the time. I'm expecting at least one per week, but we'll have to see how that works out. We know that in the past, we've had things like modifications of our frame or the frame around our a block explorer as we can see it on the map. Things like around Halloween, we've had little decorations over our block explorer. That is a good guess. I mean, that's just an assumption that that's something that's possible that could be done. Things like changing things, the profile could be done. There could be display images, and the one speculation that a lot of people hope for is we know it's a non-NFT, but is it going to be a wearable if we could do so, a wearable or some type of wearable enhancement for 3D avatars, Ready Player Me avatars, if you're in a 3D space around Upland. Um, um, God saying, why'd you start so early? The conversation must have been boring. We got started about quarter after, God. So yes, there was a little bit of impetus. There was some people who said, let's go, mushy, mushy, chop, chop. So that is why we got started a little early. And yeah, we weren't too deep in the conversation. So we got things started. I'm glad you could join. Again, try to get started on time as much as possible. Not always the case. Especially when we get a good conversation started up before the show even gets going. But glad you are here now. Of course, on on these passes, there's still the things we don't know. I've said this before is the community had questions, and the reason why the community stopped asking them is because they got an answer, and the answer, something that more cheese had asked right up front. I know there's a couple other people as well. Was what can we expect to get out of these? And a lot of people had asked in a lot of different places, what can we expect to get out of these? And the answer is we're intentionally not telling you. We want them to be surprises. We want you to find out. Hi, Ricey. Good to see you, bud. We want to see what is going on, or we want to see what we can expect. And of course, it's a surprise we'll have to do for now. People can make decisions what they do next season based on what happens this season. We'll have to see again starting Tuesday what drops. If I was Upland, I would have something really cool drop the first week to reinforce that idea of people making that decision to want to have the cosmetic enhancement. And who knows if it's a strong enough bonus, if it's something that's cool enough, maybe people will buy passes even though they're losing out on that first week. It's always a possibility. So come out of the gate swinging, if you ask me, as far as Upland's options here are concerned. The two other things on this that we know is the seasons are going to have meaning in Upland in a larger way. There's going to be contests built around them. There's potential for, as Upland has already put it, there's potential for modified OPEX for participation or OPEX dividends or rewards for participation in missions for different seasons. However, it is clear and important, speaking specifically for the passes, the season's passes, it is important to note that these passes don't modify any earnings or rewards. These are cosmetic enhancements. This is separate from any other gamification layer that we have going in Upland. So there's, again, key thing here, get the aesthetics if you want them, have them if you want them, and be able to have the I'm just laughing at some gifts dropping in the way, but have them if you want them, get that badge if you want to get that badge, but don't expect that, again, it's going to change your earnings or upics for you along the way here as we do get into more of this new season alignment, more of these contests, and maybe we'll see some of them here right around the bend. I do want to drop in, obviously, and talking about the funeral arrangements for my dearly departed orange cheetah. Go figure, the thing wants to be fed. No, it got started at a different cycle as the rest of my oranges, so it wasn't necessarily easy to keep up with or keep track of. I was doing a relatively good job doing so. I went and had to go and go away for work. Yeah, exactly. Rest in peace, orange cheetah. I had to go away for work over the course of the weekend. My schedule got thrown off. I could not pull myself away at the right times. I kept track of the rest of my totems. Didn't miss any other feedings. That guy missed a feeding, and it was done. It was done. It was over with. I think I missed one, and I think I missed another because I got off phased, and the thing is dead. A square base. You misfeeding the thing 6 times, and you just digging a shallow grave and putting it in it. Shallow grave because it will come back as a zombie for the cycle 2, 3, 4, 5. I say a zombie. It's going to work just the same way as it did the first one, but zombie because it's dead. It is. I got to look at this thing as being dead. I wanted to go and be cute and call it hibernation, but I'm going to be honest about it. It's done for now. It'll be back in the next cycle, and we'll see. A couple other notes on that as we are closing into the end of this cycle. I do like to put it out there with an exclamation point that we are moving into the profitability, and pretty excited about it. Finally got profitable across the board in my totems. We're finally moving the profitability curve on many of the totems. Some of them hit profitability earlier. Some are just hitting now. For a lot of people who started on time, some people who started a little late, they might be shifted a little bit further down the line. But it's definitely worth noting that if you have been keeping up with your totems, you've got ones, you're getting fatigued, you're feeling a little frustrated by it, keep feeding to the best of your ability because we are going to start seeing profits come in. I do have the little flip side on that. We do know that on some of the totems that have a wave function, they go up, 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 up. Down, 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 down. They may actually cruise into non-profitability towards the end of the cycle. We don't know how the last week's going to play out necessarily because this is our first one. So I can't guarantee, or we can't guarantee what happens after they slide below profitability on the wave function. Some would suggest, or that it may be an option, or I may be on that boat, that if the profitability is going to slide below, it's just the time to say it was a fun month. We were profitable for a while. It looks like you're going to continue to be non-profitable for a while. Again, that is unknown because we haven't been able to really fully track the cycles or the wave function in these cycles. So we don't know what happens at the end part of that wave. The continued. It's good to see you, Wolf Warner. I'm doing well. The continued function of those, we expect them to continue to work until the end of the month. But we do have some understanding that, and exactly, Ricey, the dragonfly is exactly what I'm referring to. My dragonfly is coming down and about to hit the non-profitability. And if your dragonfly comes back down and hits non-profitability, you stop feeding the thing. And I guess that's my strategy. I do want to put out there with an asterisk. We don't have a guarantee that this thing doesn't bounce back up at the end because we've never gotten there. But it definitely does look like there's a couple. Panda and Dragonfly on that list look like they're about to hit the negative part or negative earnings. You put the UPX in, you get less out every day. I'm making that determination for myself here in the next couple days or next couple feed cycles because I'm about to hit that loss period. I'm about to make the decision for myself here very shortly, but that's the calculation. And again, I want to say it's a calculation for each person to make individually because it's still a gamble. It's still a little bit of unknown. We don't know for sure that it's going to be a loss period over the last several days, the last few days of the month. But it does feel that way. It does look that way based on the trend and the pattern. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to make that decision, and I will make the decision the next day or two. And I can tell you how it worked out for me, and we'll see how it works out for everyone else as well. And on that, and with that, with the totems, a couple more things to keep in mind and note. People started their cycles at different periods of time. There was a 5-day window to start your cycle. If you started towards the beginning, you're going to be headed towards the end of your cycle the next couple of days. If you started towards the end of that cycle, you will have up to another 5 days. So if other people's cycles are ending and yours doesn't seem to be, keep it up. You have the indication of how many days you have left in your cycle right on your totem. So use that as a guide. Continue going on. Finishing it out hard if you're going to be finishing it out hard. If your totem is non-profitable or starting to become non-profitable, for example, with the pandas and the pandas and the dragonflies, that's a decision you can make. You can make that decision of if maybe it's worth stopping the payments. But again, we are going to see that over the next several days. And the other thing to keep in mind is we will have another cycle. Don't necessarily expect this cycle, the next cycle, cycle 2, to start immediately after the end of cycle 1. There's that 5-day grace period on the end of cycle 1, and B, upwind may reset, so we don't know how many days there's going to be in between cycle 1 and cycle 2. It may be an extended period of time. It may be flat, which means we could start things very shortly after the end. So I will keep my eyes out on that, and that we all should as well. And then the other thing, obviously, there is going to be when that comes up, are there going to be any contests or resets or anything is going to change? And if anything does change between cycle 1 and cycle 2, it may be scaling. It may be the amount you feed what. It may be that this curves are steeper, or the curves are more shallow, or the ratio of what you pay in to what you get out does change between cycle 1 and cycle 2. The people who did really well in cycle 1, they might see that it's harder to do well in cycle 2, and vice versa. Things might be made a little easier because, let's be honest, some of us put a lot of time in, just barely eking out a profit. I'll tell you exactly where I end up at the end here. It wasn't perfect, but a lot of people were relatively perfect. Some people less so. But varieties, there's a variety of options or outputs here where people are making a profit. Everybody that did a decent job so far is heading into the profitability, with the caveat that there's some life forms that are going to put out their biggest profits in the last several days of the month, or last few days of the month. So we'll see how those profits hit for people as well. Jaded Priest, day 19 totems. Thank you so much, Jaded. You're looking at dragonflies, looking at panda, shark, python, goat. You have another goat and a cheetah, and I see those. So yes, that does kind of line up here. Let me see. I'm looking for your cheetah, which is going to start eking up here right towards the end. And I'm seeing your shark, I think, is the same thing. It's kicking up right at the end. And that's what we see on many of these is they head up towards the end. The goat's starting to make the climb. We see that as well. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these things have not been profitable or aren't profitable until you get to the very, very end. We do have the dragonflies and the pandas. Those did hit their peak. They start coming back down again, and they end up being negative profitable at a certain point. And again, that's where we say that is your decision to make. I don't want to tell anybody to do anything until we have the finality here, the final of all of it. And yes, thank you, Kenny, for that. That was necessary to understand the concept of I guess, breeding totems. But we will look at and get into that next level of totems when we get there. We do want to keep our eyes out, and I'm sure everybody will be using some of the same resources once we see the new cycle start. It is worth noting that we expect the life forms to have similar patterns, with the caveat that the required input could change, with the caveat that the severity or the steepness of the cycles could change, the payouts could change. Let's keep our eyes open on that, though we do have a pretty well established foundation from cycle one. For now, I do want to put a couple notes on a couple things that we are looking forward to. The NFLPA next leaderboard contest actually lining up for the big game headed into next week, towards the end of the week, in through the weekend, is going to be the next edition, I should say, of that burn contest, a burn event. In that burn event, obviously, you want to be burning inside of the window. That's something we don't want to get started early, otherwise we'll be wasting our legits. One thing that did come from the last leaderboard update is the burns on these have gotten pretty severe, pretty significant. The tops of those top 10 leaderboards are seen into the 20s and 30s, and that's a lot for me, if you're asking me, to burn for legits in order to be be at the top of that heap, get the opportunity to have one of the 10 replicas that are going to be available. I do want to touch base on that, and I guess I can pop this up here, if I can pop this up here, to get a better look at it. But when we are talking about these leaderboard contests for for the legits, or burning legits to get replicas, keep in mind that A, it's a contest, meaning not everyone will win. B, this is the foundation, this is the start of getting replicas, something that people have been waiting for a long time. But in this particular contest, it's not a burn this many replicas for this reward. That was something that had been discussed in the past. This is instead replica, burning for the chance of replica. If you burn and you don't win, you don't get anything. The one thing to keep in mind is, in the past, mementos have been significantly priced, or there's been a significant increase in price for mementos during the postseason. That's where we are right now in the NFLPA, or in the football season. We're in the postseason. So if you want to put the effort in because you want the postseason replica of the memento, more power to you. It is one thing just to keep your eyes on, and keep your eye on the prize and your head in the game when it comes to these. Just know what you're getting, what you're giving up, and that is not a guarantee of getting a replica here. So just want to touch the details. February 8th, 9 a.m. PT to February 10th, 9 a.m. PT is the next burn window. Don't get started early. There's people who are questioning, hey, is it this week? No, it's not. For football, for the NFL, they take a week off, so it is 2 weeks after the championship games is going to be the big game at the end of the year. That is going to be in our case, on the 11th, Sunday the 11th. That means that this window running from the 9th into the 10th is going to be before the big game, and then we'll theoretically have the winners when that does happen. Keep in mind 1 point for every essentially you burn, and keep in mind that again, top of the leaderboards for burning the legits that correspond to the two teams in the game. That's going to be how you end up rising up the leaderboard and potentially winning after the game, depending on where you line up on the leaderboard. Keep in mind that even though there's a burn period, there's a period which you can burn. There is going to be some bonus points awarded based on having burnt a player if they end up being a superstar for the game, or the best player in the game. So with that in mind, the leaderboard's is going to cap at the end of the period, but the final score may be adjusted thereafter. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, into the week, we don't have anything else yet significantly announced. We are moving into February. February being the second month of the quarter, so we'll see what of the goals for quarter three end up being seen or end up being advanced. And I do want to do a reminder here. Obviously, we do have The frost season starts February 1st. That we are now officially in frost season. The first Tuesday in frost season is next week, which lines up with our frost season pass. You burn this over the next couple days before Tuesday, and then you're going to get your first drop next Tuesday, Tuesday the 6th. That lines up with what the schedules are going to be here. You buy the season pass, you get a drop every Tuesday for the rest of the season. So that's where we are right now with that. And that's where we are as we do move into the month. So this is going to be the first official. I want to put it out there. This is the first official of the revamped seasons. We'll watch and see what Upland does for contests. They've talked about that. We are going to be, as of tomorrow, officially in frost season. And maybe Upland is going to make that announcement tomorrow. Hopefully, we had a chance to talk about it. We could expect to see that something in the next couple of days about what this actually looks like, what the contests are, how people can interact, and what the rewards are along the way. But for now, that's what we're looking forward to. The day in Upland, no big major announcements except for starting that burn mechanic today, and looking forward to what we have coming up next week in and into the future of the frost seasons or the seasons in Upland. So thank you so much for being here. I see the burn the frost pass represented by Ice Cube with some flame shooting off it. I'll take it. I love it. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. As always, at the end of the show, I do always recommend people in Discord, if they have something to say, if they want to say something, please feel free to unmute your mics. Of course, the floor is yours.